Today we're going to talk about my experience with clownfish breeding. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Paul, and today I'm just going to talk about my experience with breeding clownfishes, the do's and the don'ts, and just go through my process so you have an idea of what's been happening here for the past month and a half. But first, let me show you my setup here. I'm actually in my garage. This is my setup. I don't have anything fancy. It's just a simple setup, but I do have it on my power backup unit here, just in case the power goes out, because it is connected to this little breaker right here. And sometimes that do trip. So I just want to make sure that if that trips, I still have some power on this unit. And this unit's going to be powering the light, the heaters, and this pump that I have up here. But essentially, I've just been busy the past month trying to do some research because I decided to actually try to grow the clownfishes this time around. So I've been doing a lot of research trying to figure out, what types of food I need to have available, what kind of a setup. So I just decided to do a very simple setup with just 5-gallon buckets, a heater, and air stone. And that is pretty much my setup right here. But I do have to make sure that I have the proper food, which is rotifers. And I had to make sure I was able to get that in time. Now here we have my batch of rotifers, and I clean the tank, or I do 30% water change every day, just to make sure that I'm harvesting them out, and at the same time I'm doing a water change, and then I'm adding in some phyto to this tub here to make sure the rotifers have something to eat. In regards to phytoplankton, I decided to stop using phyto and I went with RG Complete instead. I do have my phyto setup running right now, but it takes too long to produce. And if I was to buy phytoplankton, it would just be too costly over time. So instead of that, I decided to go with RG Complete. And the big bottle that I have will last 6 months in the fridge. But based on my usage so far, I've used about a quarter, and that's been about, I want to say, maybe a week. So this one bottle should last about a month. And in my perspective, it was cheaper to get this versus doing the whole phyto bit. I mean, the phytoplankton and growing it, it's fun, but you run into the problems of having a bottle that has not been thoroughly rinsed and washed, and so the whole culture could crash, and when that happens you have to start over. And I had a few that crashed, and that kind of delayed this process and delayed getting enough food for the rotifers. So I had to supplement by buying phytoplankton, and it's just very expensive going that route. So with the RG Complete, that seems to be better for me. It's a more concentrated solution, and I just put a few mil inside the bucket, and that is good for the day. And I check the bucket throughout the day. If it starts, the water starts turning clear, then I add more into the bucket, and that is usually good enough. And it seems like it'll last me for a whole month with just this one bottle, which is the cost of 1 gallon of phytoplankton. And that 1 gallon of fresh phyto doesn't really last me that long. I would say maybe 2 to 3 days at the most. To me, this is more friendly on my wallet. At the same time, I'm using RG Complete to green my water, or to tip my water for the baby fries, and that's been working really well. This bucket over here is the baby fries, and I have some in there, but it's hard to see because they're swimming around everywhere. It looks like the clutch of fish is probably around 200 to 300, but as time progresses, they've been dying off, and that's probably because I had no way of tinting the water before. So I have two batches so far, and the first batch I didn't tint at all, and I am down to about 15 clownfishes, and that's this batch over here. And the guys are in there and they're getting their colors, so it's about almost a month for this batch right here. And the survival rate has been very low. This is the second batch, and I just started tinting for about a week. But a lot of them have died off earlier on because I wasn't able to tint the water, and also because I didn't have enough rotifers. So I had to supplement with different types of food, like this one here. This is First Bite. And I also had to buy the whole breeder kit by TDO and use this as a supplement for their food until I was able to get some more rotifers in. Along with that, I do have this bucket up here, and this bucket is pretty much Tisbee, and I'm told that although the clownfish can't eat the parents, they should be able to eat the baby Tisbee. So I've been feeding this into the tank as well, just to give the clownfish some alternative food. And I don't know if it's working or not, but they are staying alive, so my assumption is that it may be helping. So here's my setup from afar. It's just a rack with my Tisbee bucket at the top. Second batch clownfish. This is the first batch. That is my rotifer culture. My battery backup is right here, and it's using about 108 watts. My pump. I have a few tools here that I need, like the salinity tester here. I have this here primed to kind of clear up the water before I dump it into, or before I do water changes. And then of course the TDO pack here, breeder pack, is different variation. We have large, medium, small, and then it gets very, very small to powder-like, which is this one right here. And right next to my refrigerator, I do have a calendar, so I know what day it is and what to feed them. In terms of the TDO package that I have here, I'm mainly doing the A and the B1. I started with the B2 recently, but I feel like the granular size is still a bit too big for my first batch. So I've just been still doing the A and the B1. One of the other things that I am also feeding them is frozen rotifers. And I don't know if that helps any or not. But I figure if I throw in some live rotifers and some refrigerated rotifers or dead rotifers, that if they eat the live, they'll probably go after the dead rotifers. And I'm hoping that that'll help them with getting as much rotifers as they can eat so they can grow. Or maybe they're just in there fouling the water. I don't really know, but I just decided to throw some in there anyway since I had a bottle. And that is just to make sure that I have enough rotifers in my bucket of water so that they're constantly seeing rotifers floating around so that they can eat the rotifers. My buckets are only halfway filled. I don't feel the need to fill it all the way to the top unless I have a lot of clownfishes in there and I really need to give them more water to grow out in. So far, I've been monitoring the ammonia and the water level to make sure the salinity doesn't creep up, and also I've been doing water changes every day to make sure that the water is clean. And I am not using my tank water to replenish this water. What I'm doing is just mixing fresh salt water every day and doing about a half of what is in there right now. And it's probably about 1.25 gallons that I'm doing for each of these bucket right here. So total about 4 to 4.5 gallons of water that's being changed out every day. Alright guys, that is it for this video. If you see that I'm doing something wrong or if there can be an improvement, please let me know down in the comment section below. And if you have any questions with my setup, or if you want to know more about what I'm doing, feel free to drop it down in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to explain and let you know what is going on so far. But I've been busy for this past month and a half just doing my research and trying to get this setup going. And so far I think there's a bit of success in there, that I'm able to keep a few of these alive. But I have a third batch that is probably going to be hatching soon, and I would like the success rate or the survival rate to be up in the 80-90 percentile, and I think then I will feel like I've accomplished this. But for now, I'm growing these out, and then I will be putting them into my display tank. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if that's going to create a problem with my current pair, but if not, then I will put them into my my sump or my frag tank. Alright guys, that is it for this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.